Yes. Well, if you can't pull it all the way back, I'd see someone about it. Now do yourself up and shut up. I'm addressing the public, don't you know? Joyous tidings to you and your kith. I hope you're all having a damn fine Christmas. I would be. However, after indulging in 40 of Britain's finest cheeses, I would normally follow up with a nice smoke. However, Fiona has gone round the entire house and emptied all my cocking lighters, the old cow. I mean, I adore the woman with a love unending, but I've never known anyone nurture such a talent for pissing on one's parade in all my days. It's all in an attempt to get me to live longer, all without my consent. I'm perfectly happy to allow nature to run its course. She is insistent, however, that I look after myself, which is my wife's utterly transparent code for her telling me what to do. She even suggested that for Christmas dinner, instead of goose and pigs in blankets, we try a mushroom Wellington and a nut roast. Whereupon, I'm afraid I had to put my foot down so violently that I went through the ceiling of the ballroom below and bruised my buttocks beyond belief. Didn't do the grand piano any good either. So I got my goose, and Fiona had a roasty and a jolly good look at some sprites. Never fear, however. She may eat like a bird at the dinner table, but come 9 p.m. she'll be found in the pantry undergoing the nightly ritual of what she calls pecking at a little something, or what I call stuffing her damn mouth. Lord love her. Now, as you can imagine, decking out a vast manor like Shotwell House for the Christmas period is no mean feat. There is an entire room devoted to the storing of Christmas decorations, and come the arse end of November, Fiona sends Flatulence, my faithful valet, and myself with fully girded loins to brave the cave of Christmas crapulence. This year, alas, the light bulb had gone in the 12-month sojourn, and whilst a new one was found, I set about the mammoth task of attempting to shift stuff in the dark. But it brained error! After smashing an priceless selection of vintage glass baubles, breaking my toe on an absurdly placed Yule log, and tangling myself in 3 hectares of pissing Christmas lights, I proceeded to throw my back out with serious aplomb by trying to lift what I thought was a box of peculiarly heavy tinsel, but was in fact the fireplace. So I spent the next few days cooped up in my room, lying on the freezing floorboards, my busted foot up on the slumbering dog, picking tiny light bulbs out of crevices I had quite forgotten I had. Once I was back on my feet, I found myself in the midst of a winter war. It all began on the 5th day of December, when Flatulence, on putting out the milk bottles, discovered our wreath had been seriously depleted overnight. Now, our wreaths are specially handcrafted by an old dear who lives nearby. She's 600 years old, and arthritis has clenched her hands into talons. Yet she sits there year after year, weaving willow, threading thistle, and hurting herself on holly to make the backwash wreath. She's won trophies for her work, and rightly so. They are things of extreme quality, beauty, and heft, normally weighing in around the same as a good pig. It hadn't been up 2 damn days, it looked like a ring of twiglets. I was, understandably, foaming at my ducal jowls. Some dirty, low-life tea-leaf had 1/2 inch 3/4 on my wreath, and I was going to find the culprit and give him a piece of my diseased mind. Fiona dug out last year's wreath and used the bits of it that weren't well past it to patch it up. It looked crap, but she tried, bless her. The next day, the same thing. Bare as the baby in the bloody manger. My dander was right up to my bolting bonds. I resolved the only obvious course of action was to hide out in sight of the front door overnight and catch the miscreant red-handed. If this prize prick thought he could make an award-winning wreath from my award-winning wreath, he was going to find out otherwise, and then some. I mean, quite apart from being downright theft, pure and simple, it was hardly in the Christmas cocking spirit, was it? I rather think not. So, 'twas the night before justice was to be served, and I could be found swaddled in my Arctic gear, a thermos of brandy by my side, and half a holly bush sticking out of my hat for camouflage in the hedgerow around the front of the manor. You'd have needed keen eyes, however, for I was as well hidden as a needle in any haystack. Along with my brandy soup, I had my night vision binoculars, although I don't trust infrared technology because the word radiation is often in tandem, so they were just ordinary binoculars that I was using at night, and a vast net to catch any fleeing thief. I set myself up at around 9 in the evening. Hours passed. Nothing. 1 o'clock rolled by. Still no sign of movement. I fell asleep at 2, woke up at 5. Still no change to the wreath. Had I been spotted? Had I been duped like a pig-ignorant patsy? Was I freezing my mighty men all for naught? 7 o'clock finally crept over the horizon with a sluggish sun and a mist-born frost. It was then, in the cold, feeble light of dawn, that the miscreant revealed themselves. A single robin, breast as red as my gin-shot eye, flitted out of the sky and hopped along the wreath edge. He started tugging at a twig with his beak, pushing and pulling it by infinitesimal degrees, easing it free of the wicker. No sooner as this jittery wee fellow started his work, but he was joined by another. A pair of them, jumping and fluttering about my wreath, pulling it apart. Then another joined them, and before long, as the sun heaved its shoulder over the hill, the air became heavy with the beating of innumerable tiny wings, and a swarm of the damn things swooped down on my door with all the grace and aeronautic skill of a red arrow fly past. I realized the longer I sat staring, the thinner my wreath would get, so I reached round for my net. Alas! I had been hunkered down on my haunches for so long that both my knees were shut and my feet were dead. As soon as I made to move, I flopped forward, arse over tit, out of the cover of the shrubbery. I stifled a yelp by chewing down on my tash ends. Out in the open, I lay deathly still, for fear of startling the birds further. They too, of course, were stock still, wondering what on earth the noise could have been. Most frozen mid-tug, twigs and leaves quivering in their mouths. 2 minutes I lay there, staring up at the swiftly brightening sky, my buttocks numbing on the frosted gravel. I lay there, waiting for the sound of busy birds at work, icicles forming on my recently salivated tash, thinking, bloody hell, what a life. What the fur-covered fart bucket are you about, Reggie, you senile bowleak? Finally, the chatterings graced my chill-stung ears. I kept low and elbow-crawled my way to the front door, whereupon I leapt up, my arms thrown wide, net in hand. Unfortunately, the net was also caught round my boot, wrapped round my hat, tangled round my knackersack, up my arse, through my armpit. I was a right old mess. The birds looked at me, trussed out like a turkey. There was a glint in every tiny black eye that turned my guts to gravy with fear. Now, robins are not known to be vicious animals, but they went at me with a fury unimaginable. Pecked the Lord-loving lard out of me. I ended up looking like I'd French-kissed a thorn bush, and my wreath was in tatters to boot. Bastards! Well, now I've covered the thing in clear drying cement, so if the little sods try it again, they'll get a nasty crack in their beaks. There are plenty of twigs lying around to make nests with without them persecuting me by ruining my wreath. So, I hope your Christmas is going better than mine, and that both your door decorations and your health is intact. I also hope that your day is full of good food, good company, and more good food. A Merry Christmas to you all, and a very happy New Year. Now then, flatulence. How am I going to light this damn thing? I'm not sticking my face in the frigging fire! My tash will go up like a Catherine wheel. Oh, wait. Pass me that mulled wine-scented candle. The daft old tart might have hidden all the matches, but you can't resist a candle at Christmas. Ha ha!